Exactly. Well, let's go to Cancer, because that's obviously going to be a big one for an eclipse.
Oh, yeah. It's the moon's place, isn't it?
That's exactly right. So I would even, like the moon rules fertility. The moon also can rule, the home, the family, and the environment in general, I would say is probably the best way to describe it. And the environment where you feel safe and secure within.
The crab.
Yes, absolutely. So, having no light on your emotions, or having something that's sort of stopping you making, or you should say, would it be best to say that during this time that happening in Cancer might be a highly emotional time, an emotionally charged time, and not a great time to make rational decisions at all?
We're going to make them quick because it's a cardinal sign.
Yes.
And you're probably going to select and include things that you may not have done, because the sun is about reason and taking time to think about the things that I'm going to do. The emotional response is going to be slightly different. Let me just digress again for a minute. Is that what I wrote about some time ago, which was also published, was the numerous amounts of astrologers probably haven't picked up on, is that in the year 1999, we left the one digit behind. We had been writing 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, 8 for our centuries.
Mm-hmm.
We're now gone to the 2.
Yes.
And the 2 is intuitive.
Yes.
It's the moon, what we're talking about.
It's the moon, the number of the moon, yeah.
Yeah, and I wrote about the 20. There was an article published called 2020 and the Fourth Wave, because for me, the decades from 2000 to 2010, and then from 2010 to 2020, the 2020s and beyond are including these 2s. And when we got to the year 2022, and the 22nd of February 2022,
you got 6 2s.
We had this massive build-up of 2s.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of this 2, and if you might see, one of the things that is infiltrated, because these numbers infiltrate and seep into the conscious through the unconscious and are brought out through actions of objective things that take place, is you've seen the androgynous man, the one, the whole argument now about pronouns and who we are and what we are.
Yep.
And there's some of the things that I wanted to point out to you that is because the word reflective is also part of the moon. Of
the moon, absolutely it is. Yeah, and it is always about reflection of light. It's also memory.
Absolutely, memory, and it's an emotional memory as well. Yes. An attachment of emotional memory.
It's also very strongly associated to your habits. So you might find that during an eclipse in Cancer, it may be a challenge to some of your habits, or you might find that some of your behaviours need to be reassessed, and that could be the reason for the force of the change. And it may not be you; it may be habits within your environment. It could be habits within your family. It could be habits within those areas that you bring closely into your emotional and what do you call your home? Where your space is, what makes you feel who you are. I'm just generalizing here because you can't be specific because we don't know what other planets are triggering. But
one of the things is also about collection.
Yes.
Hoarding.
Yeah. Well, I would also include that in the Taurus one a little bit as well, but in more so with Cancer in this case.
Yeah. They like to hoard things. You like to grab hold of them and collect them. The crab goes out pops up out of the hole, goes out. That's why I use the images rather than the signs. The crab gets out, he goes, looks around. Is anyone looking? Runs over, grabs something, hoards it, brings it back and puts it in his home.
Yeah, I love the moon in Aquarius. I would say, that's your hermit crab. He just changes his house when he feels like it.
So based upon what we were saying before, we might be selecting
Yeah.
things and including those things, gathering those things that we may have an emotional attachment to, that we find choice was blocked out and we made the wrong choice for including them.
Yeah. Would you go as far as saying that, because the moon is also about caring, and therefore brings in that sort of caring responsibility? Would you find that maybe during those periods there may be an event or a circumstance which force you to have to do or care for someone close to you? That's another thing that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
in a circumstance where you didn't have a choice.
I think I think Venus is attached to caring as well. I think the positive numbers, it's like we call the table of opposites. So we have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And, we have Sun, Jupiter, Mercury, Neptune.
Yeah, Mars.
Mars, in that sense. Yeah. And then if we go 2, 4, 6, the 2 and the 6 is the Moon and Venus. So it's and 6 I find about having to give up something. And this is part of the Moon too, have to give up something to nurture something.
Yeah.